5G, of course, will play a key role in digital transformation, with many companies planning to implement the technology. IDC expects the digital economy to go mainstream, with at least 50% of APAC growth coming from digital products and services by 2022. Joining us now is Sandra Ng, Group VP at IDC Asia Pacific's practice group, where she advises decision makers in the industry. By 2022, 50%. So tell us how that happens.
Well, okay, so if you look at basically the current products and services from a digital standpoint, we are already around the 20 to 30%, and that this will actually accelerate because every industry has actually accelerated in terms of their digital transformation efforts, and we see that really going to move up very quickly in the next few years.
What are some of the other aspects we could be looking at? Because we understand artificial intelligence as well is a big push. Singapore has big sort of caveats on this to happen by 2030.
Yeah, so AI is definitely one of the areas that we are seeing really pushing out a lot. In fact, in the digital transformation kind of marketplace, right now we're kind of in what we call the chapter 2, because we started about probably 6-7 years ago. So we're kind of in the second phase. The first phase, digital was really kind of the core of the marketplace. And in the second phase, we'll see data and AI will play a significant role.
Tell us about some of the transformation leaders that you look at in the Asia Pacific region that kind of have set the bar in this space.
Well, I think a very well-known one would be DBS Bank, which we all know very well, but it's not only just DBS Bank. We see that in kind of recent years, Changi Airport Group being, basically one of the best airports in the world, if not the best airport in the world, is one such entity that's been pushing ahead from a digital transformation perspective. AirAsia from Malaysia is another example, big into digital, big into data and analytics. You have Zulik Pharma, which is a large pharmaceutical healthcare provider in the marketplace. They're also very big in terms of adoption of technology and really pushing ahead in digital transformation.
Sandra, as Rish in Hong Kong, you mentioned all those companies that we use, technology and all these buzzwords, if you will. Give us an idea with those companies what specifically they are doing and what they are actually harnessing in the digital sphere, which is making their companies more productive, et cetera, because otherwise it's all very kind of ephemeral and you don't really know.
Yeah, so, okay, if you look at it from a technology standpoint, there is a variety of different technologies. We discussed a little bit around AI, which I would say data as a whole is really key for all of these brands. The next would really be cloud technology, and in fact, pretty much for all the organizations, when they adopt technologies today, cloud is part and parcel of the platform that they harness and they leverage. Mobility is always there because when you look at customers, whether you're talking about consumer customers or business customers, mobility and applications on mobile devices are definitely the way to go from a digital transformation perspective. So it's a whole spectrum of different technologies, but I would say data, AI, cloud, mobility, and of course earlier on you have a segment that talk about 5G. In the next few years, 5G will come out really significantly to really enable the organizations to push ahead.
So Sandra, let's take the example of AirAsia. It's calling itself a digital airline now, and it wants to be a digital airline. What does it need to do to get there? Give me an idea of that. I want tangible examples.
Sure. Okay, so if you look at from the airline industry perspective, digital can mean in terms of the entire customer experience process, right? So from the minute that we decide to kind of book a ticket to the point of check-in to really getting on the flight, everything is going to be from a digital standpoint. And that's kind of how you define a digital airline. So that's from kind of an aviation services sector perspective. But if you look at specifically on AirAsia, they also get into kind of surrounding ecosystem to really expand and really get into this digital airline notion. So some of the things that they have been embarking on is really getting into marketplaces for insurance, for digital payments, for entertainment services. And these ecosystem-based services are going to be part and parcel for any organizations who really want to be at the cutting edge of digital transformation.
Yeah, so personal data being used there, leveraged for those benefits. And you did say something quite interesting in your previous answer, which was 5G. Now, how does that change the landscape?
Well, okay, so 5G, from a technology standpoint, it provides obviously that 24/7 connectivity, low latency, if you're familiar, kind of from a technical standpoint. 5G is basically a technology that promises organizations to be able to get really connected, not only within their own enterprise, but also into the ecosystem and with the consumers. So that whole connectedness is going to be really, really key in the world of 5G.
So many apps, so much data out there. What can companies do to kind of be proactive, I guess, in terms of cybersecurity threats here?
Yeah, okay, so that's a good question. I mean, that's the concern for pretty much a lot of the organizations who have started the digital transformation journey. In fact, in our recent global CEO survey, trust is actually named as the #1 priority and concern for CEOs around the world. We call it the future of trust or digital trust, and that's where cybersecurity, data privacy, data protection, compliance all come into play. There is no kind of perfect solution, and it's an ongoing journey for organizations, but it's really important for organizations to really understand the different threats, anticipate them, and be able to react when it happens. That's really the critical part about trust.
And just very quickly, finally, you're saying by 2024, the number of apps will increase 700%. I can't keep up with all the apps we have now. How do we work in that kind of environment?
Well, obviously, it's not just one individual or one segment, right?
Yeah.
This is talking about the entire market.
Yeah.
So in both B2B and B2C, there's just going to be, I mean, that's really the business as usual moving forward.